Irashaimase! Hello and welcome to Fataris' Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fataris. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this week we have Cosmo Dreamer, a casual bullet hell. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. From developer Outside, Cosmo Dreamer originally released to Steam in October of 2020. Now, in December of 2022, it's available from publisher Waku Waku Games on the Nintendo Switch, and that's the version we're looking at today. So right off the bat, I can definitely recommend this title. It's one I've had a lot of fun with, and in addition to that, I do feel that the theming is nice and appropriate for this time of year. Today is Christmas Eve, and if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas to you. But the game has a kind of a little bit of a Christmassy and wintry vibe to it, so it's perfect for this season, and it would be one that, especially where it's a rather approachable and relaxing bullet hell to play, I think it's great for this time of year. You don't just have to take my word for it though. There is a demo available on Steam, so if you're interested, you can try it out that way. But with all that said, let's dive into the main menu. So you've got your main game here, but there's a couple other modes. So there's the trial mode, which is basically this game's arcade mode. You unlock that after completing all the stages. Practice, replay for going and replaying your saved replays. Gallery for a little bit of character like information, bios, that sort of thing, and a relatively handy manual. There's also some nice option adjustment there as well. Starting the game, we're taken to this awesome customization. So you only have the one character, Mew, but like she has the ability to equip different options throughout the course of certain for certain abilities. So the first weapon type we have is the type A. This is basically to equate it to, like, say, a cave bullet hell, for example. This is basically your rapid fire shot. You've got your basic spread, you've got your straight shot, and you've got your homing shot. And there's descriptions at the bottom of the stage as well, or at the screen, which is helpful for figuring out what things do. Then we've got our focus shot, or our laser shot, basically. So the shooting stars is really nice, as it's a stream that you can control that goes straight forward, but in a lot of situations the lock-on jewel is ideal, as it allows you to attack enemies while still focusing on dodging. And then the charge flare is basically a charge up shot where you charge it up and release it. It's very powerful, but it adds a rather significant level of complexity. Then we've got our bomb, so there's three types. The supernova, which is basically your screen clear. The gamma ray burst, which is, I added the ray there, just a gamma burst, which is a rather straight stream that you can kind of aim, and then a plasma barrier that surrounds your character Mew. And then lastly, we have the abilities, which go off of your dream level, and they basically power up your shield, your type 1 weapon, or your type 2 weapon. So for our purposes today, we'll kind of go with basically the standard loadout, the broad butterflies, the shooting stars, and we'll display things that way. Although I do kind of recommend going with the homing route, as it's really enjoyable, just to kind of like focus on the dodging, especially if you're playing on harder difficulty levels. For the lowest difficulty level, this loadout works particularly well. So once you have your loadout, you're taken to the stage select. Initially, you'll just have Powdery Snow Dream, the first stage available, and there's a total of 4 difficulties you could potentially play the game in. Casual, Maniac, Expert, and Nightmare, which is locked. So of course, we'll be showing off the game in casual, just so I can kind of discuss what's going on. Selecting your difficulty, then you, say you're ready to start the stage, and here we go. So there's a little bit of elements of cute 'em up with this title as well, as both our main character, the enemies, the bosses, all have this kind of a cute, theming to them. A little bit like, let's see, Orange of 100% as well. That's another one that kind of springs to mind in that vein. But we definitely have like the holiday snowflakes. We've got some like cute like Santa dressed reindeer. With that said, let's talk a little bit about the mechanics. So we have our main shot. And you've got, if you like tap fire your main fire button, then that'll stay like the rapid, or there's just conveniently enough a rapid button. But if you hold down your shot button, then you move into focus movement, and your shot becomes your type 2 shot. So in this case, it's like the shooting stars that we picked, and it's more powerful. But depending on your shot, it might be trickier to aim. In addition to that, we there is a button that's focus movement, and this brings me to one thing I do need to mention. So in the options, there's the options for consumer or arcade controls. So in arcade controls, you have your it's very similar to a cave where you hold down your fire button, and that's how you get your beam. However, if you play with consumer, you have to hold down the slow button to get your beam, which I find it's just awkward. So we find ourselves facing our first boss, Ruka here. So keep in mind this is on the casual difficulty, so the bullet hell patterns aren't as dense as they would be on Maniac, and the biggest difference between Maniac and Expert is it takes the same patterns and then increases the speed, so you get more and faster speed as well. So each of the bosses have multiple phases that are full life bars. You can see how many phases they'll have based off the number of hearts underneath. So Ruka here is on their final heart. So once we take out this snake with its beautiful star bullet pattern, then we'll have completed the stage. So from here, we can move on to talking a little bit about some of the scoring mechanics that are in the game. So, as you might have noticed, as I'm defeating enemies, I'm getting two types of items spawning from the enemies. The stars, which are the easier one to see, and then we're also getting blue bubbles, which are called dream bubbles from the enemies. Sometimes the bubbles will be pink in color, and like that happens to come when you have either enemies that have been like caught in your explosion, your dream level, or certain like larger enemies will blow up in such a way that they'll clear enemy shots as well. So let's talk about what those items do. So on the right, you might have like noticed that there's like you've got your best score, you've got your current score, and then under that there's a score rate. So those various items influence the stars, influence the score rate at the rate of there's large stars, medium stars, and small stars. So a small star will increase your score rate by 1, the medium star by 5, and the large star by 10. But the dream bubbles, on the other hand, will increase your score rate by 10 for the smallest, 50 for the medium, and 100 for the largest. In addition to that, they also increase the dream gauge, which you can see around Mew herself, and like saying like dream gauge level, and that's like the dream gauge is basically our bomb power. In addition to that, it also acts as a power up if you've picked a certain ability. So it's possible to power up your type 1 shot or your type 2 shot. So your like rapid fire shot or your focus shot, and I think it's really neat that there's like that ability. In some of my testing, it looks like when you power it up, it's about a 15 to 20% increase in damage. So it's like can be worth it when it's fully powered up. So do keep see that in mind. As far as the items themselves, one thing I haven't talked about is they both have ways to increase like their size and amount. So as far as the stars, if you defeat the enemy faster, you will receive more stars. But the dream bubbles, which are ultimately the more powerful and higher scoring like items, it's dependent on how close you are to the enemies when you defeat them. So the closer you are, the larger the dream bubbles you'll get. So there's a very strong risk-reward function going on here. So that's it for stage 2. And we're already on to stage 3. So there's a total of 8 stages. And you've got your 3 difficulties available from right from the beginning, with like the ability to unlock the 4th difficulty, Nightmare. And the game kind of continues along these lines, and really, I played all the way through it in casual and had just a wonderful, relaxing time. There are some minus flavors, though. First one I want to talk about is every once in a while, like sometimes the stage will just get too busy with all the various power-ups that were coming along with, or that were like the enemies are spawning, in addition to all the enemy shots. It can be really busy. Ultimately, you don't have to worry about things too much. You can just pick up all the items on the screen by moving up, making things a little bit easier, or you can just like let them go past you and focus more on just simply surviving rather than like setting higher scores. That's definitely a viable way to play the game. In addition to that, once you have some dream levels, it does act as kind of an auto bomb, so if you get hit, it's not the end of the world. But another, like, and this one's not necessarily a minor complaint. I feel like bullet hell with some really decent scoring, like this one does have, deserves an online leaderboard, and unfortunately it does not have that. So it would, like, I feel, benefit from that kind of competition. But as far as the plus flavors are concerned, I really do like the cute 'em up like visuals that this game has. Just the adorable like character designs, the really cute enemies that we're taking out. The backgrounds themselves are relatively plain and like sometimes overly busy, like this star that we're kind of like flying over here. And then all like the boss fights, I feel, are really laid out. They've got decent length to them, and in addition to that, you've got really like exciting and interesting bullet hell patterns to enjoy. Just the whole like Danmaku that's going on here, beautiful. And lastly, the biggest plus flavor I have, this just is a really, in my mind, it just goes and feels so casual and approachable for a bullet hell. If someone was saying they were interested in like trying a bullet hell and they were looking for one that I would recommend to somebody that wasn't hardcore in the genre, this I think might be one that I would suggest. So with that said, this is definitely a solid recommend for the chef, especially for the holidays. I've had a really great time going and trying this one out. Alright, that'll just about wrap it up for this week's episode of Shoot 'em Up Saturday. As always, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful week and a happy holidays, and we'll see you again next time.